all, there were several
Does he?
false
Has he proven
bases
anything?
for your talk. First of all, there's no moratorium on gas drilling in New York State.
There's a moratorium on high volume
No,
hydrocarbons.
there's not. No, there's not. The state legislature passed one. Governor Patterson vetoed it.
Executive Order 42.
He issued an executive order which has expired. So tomorrow, the DEC could say, we've looked at all 60,000
Is that right, Chris?
comments. We've looked at all 60,000 comments. We're drilling. That's why we need a moratorium in our town tomorrow. Today, we really need one. Also,
Right,
furthermore, did you say that, like, you could go ahead and let somebody, a property owner start drilling, and then you could call a moratorium, if you wanted to, then you could pass a moratorium.
Well, I mean, if you
Did
can
you
pass
say that?
one now
Did
before
you
they
say that?
end, then
Yes,
presumably you could do
that
it.
No,
because
you
that is
can't.
called spot zoning, okay? That is illegal. Furthermore, you just now said,
Well, if you put it-
let me finish. You said that, that the decision must be decided on geology and not on zoning. Well, you may be interested to know that in the past week, the U.S. Geological Survey, which is considered to be an objective agency, has warned that the New York State regulators that their plan to allow drilling and hydraulic fracturing for natural gas in the Marcellus Shale can endanger private water wells, municipal aquifers, and New York State drinking water supply. And then they also say the USGS, the federal government's expert on geology and hydrology of oil and gas drilling, advised New York regulators that their plan is flawed in several respects. Okay, there are 5 things listed here.
So then maybe the DEC should continue their, well, you said there is no moratorium. But maybe they can step in, but that's the only comment there. I mean, bottom line
But
is,
if you-
we have other scientists that are weighing in. I'm not claiming to be the know-all, I don't have a crystal ball. All right, I'm not claiming to be the, as the pro-ban and moratorium people like to call me, Don Zaengle, the self-proclaimed geologist and lawyer extraordinaire, or whatever they call me. I'm not claiming to be that. You know, let's get it straight. Yeah.
I just want to comment on that, what she read. That's from the Environmental Working Group, which is another organization funded by the Park Foundation, along with the CEDC, along with the CDLF, and along with about 15 other organizations that do that stuff. And Bill Capel, who is not a friend of gas necessarily, he's a down-the-middle geologist, who's the guy they're quoting. I have it in writing from him that he's angry as hell about them taking those comments out of context and misrepresenting what he said. So I want everybody in this room to understand that, and I can prove that in writing. And I also want to point out that this Middlefield case that people are citing, the Middlefield case is probably the poorest legal decision. I'm a layman, but I've written dozens of zoning laws in New York State, and that is the poorest piece of legal work I have seen. The guy doesn't even cite the environmental gas case. He doesn't even cite it to dismiss it. It's the only case in New York that deals with the issue. It's the only case, and he doesn't even cite it. That tells you everything you need to know. Also, he never talks about the fact there's no comprehensive plan behind what's going on. In New York State, Section 272A of the town law requires that you have a comprehensive plan to back up what you're doing when you change any land use regulation. Not even discussed. Not discussed by the town, not discussed by the court. So this is a pile of garbage, the Middlefield.
Should I weigh in on that, because I actually live in Middlefield?
Sure.
We've had a comprehensive plan since 1975, and we updated it by SECRA law in this last couple of years. So that idea that we don't have a comprehensive plan.
You don't discuss oil and gas in that plan, do you?
We don't.
Do you?
We do not.
There you go.
That was part of the.
You've said everything that needs to be
That was
said.
part of the update to the comprehensive plan that was passed this last summer. There is a comprehensive plan that was updated in this last summer prior to the passing of, or the clarification of the ordinance that oil and natural gas were among the heavy industries that have been banned in New Middlefield since 1975. We were the first town in Otsego County to have a comprehensive plan. While I'm on my little string, I wanted to ask you for a little clarification, if I may.
Sure.
You mentioned that our DEC has been exercising tens of decades of comprehensive legal control over the oil and gas company. Maybe you could clarify something I don't understand, because as I understand it, the first truly comprehensive law regarding oil and gas regulation was actually signed into legislation in 1963. And the first detailed state records on oil and gas operations only actually date to 1966. That's one way you might just sharpen your.
Chris, you want to address that?
Yeah,
Chris has been around a lot longer than I have in New York, the oil and gas landscape.
everything's always in the works. There have been records, gas has been drilled in New York State since the early 1800s. In fact, I think it was Batavia actually lit the streets in 1834 with gas. I think it was Batavia.
It was
So there's-
Batavia, Fredonia lit some other stuff.
Right next to it. So the point is, there's been, in western New York, there's been a lot more gas drilling than there has. In fact, the problem with gas in the past is that it was regarded as a waste product. And in fact, it was just vented, it wasn't burned off sometimes.
But that's a large part of why our state, policy seems to want to prevent that kind of waste, especially in the
Absolutely.
1930s,
In
when a
fact,
lot of even oil was being dumped.
If
Yeah.
you look at the DEC policies, it is a pretty comprehensive policy. In fact, when you compare Pennsylvania with New York, no offense to college graduates here, but Pennsylvania, when they regulate...
Are you stepping on Oregon State?
No. When you look at the difference between Pennsylvania and New York and how they regulate oil and gas, Pennsylvania is like a community college. If you live in the area, you get in, but they're tough on you. You flunk out easily, whereas they don't coddle you, and they're good schools, but anybody can get in. New York is like a private four-year
I
college.
got in Oregon State.
State's a
No,
good
I
college. It's like a high-end four-year college. It takes a lot to get in, but once you're in, they coddle you a little bit. They work with you, they try to find solutions. So the problem that's happened in Pennsylvania is because they let them in on an affidavit that they've done all this stuff, and they haven't, you get a lot of this. And by the way, what happened in Dimmick with the casings, that wouldn't have happened in New York because the casing law is much more severe, but DEP takes the word of, or has in the past, took the word of the developer. So, it's again, like the community college, come in, we let anybody in, you screw up, then we kick you out. That's not a good way to do business. New York has worked hard to go the other way around.
Well, they have, but they've also been really limited in some of the things that they can do. We've got evidence, for example, of this new well that's just being spudded in Guilford.
What's the name
Yeah.
of that well, do you know?
Hanahan, yeah, well. Gastem actually filed 3 sets of coordinates, one for the Parks Department, that's in downstate Delaware County, another close to Binghamton for, that they filed with the DOT asking about, well, what do you think is the impact on the road use? And then the third set of coordinates, pretty close to where the well's actually going in, to the DEC themselves.
Is that the well, is that the well bore, the surface bore, or is that the bottom bore? Bottom bore.
Well, they don't even have, I don't think they have the bottom well in yet. I think they've only
Well,
got
no, they have to, under permit, you have to show the surface entrance, and you also have to show the end of the bore.
Oh, but their 3 sets of coordinates are separated by 30 miles.
That's-
Can I ask a
I'm not
question?
aware of that.
So, but